Logan Paul. Let's take a look at this guy, shall we? A questionably talented media personality who does a bit of professional wrestling. A man with a psychopath smile, with a truly idiotic haircut that should probably be deemed criminal, with more skeletons in his closet than Seth Rollins on a Fire Island vacation. A man who somehow, after all that, rubs elbows with the rich and the powerful. Where have we heard all of this before? Now then. Logan Paul and his brother Jake. Big celebrities in the present day, but why? Is it their amazing artistic talent? Are they best in the world caliber boxers? Are they even good at getting away with, say, scamming people through crypto shenanigans? The answer to all three is, of course, no. In fact, day to day, finding all that many people who proudly call themselves fans of these two becomes harder and harder. Like Seth Rollins when Austin Theory is on the TV, and yet the Paul Bros' fame seemingly goes from peak to peak. Jake Paul's pathetic boxing matches, shows of highly questionable legitimacy where allegedly, at least one opponent might have been signaled on when to drop his hands and eat a loss.
Watch Jake Paul's right hand. Ready? He's about to curl it and curl, bam, knocked out. He curls, signaling he's about to knock him out, and he's out like a light.
And in more recent times, the humiliation of a brain-damaged, geriatric Mike Tyson, high as a kite, he's sweaty. Old ass hanging free for the world to see, symbolic of the jolly good shafting it received in exchange for the fame and fortune of losing to a vlogging white boy half his age on a Netflix comedy hour of an alleged fighting event. And right now, fake Paul's jaw is shattered, because he made the grim mistake of fighting someone bigger, stronger than him, someone above, agreeing to a no-knockout clause.
Allegedly!
Knocking him out in a clinching clown show that somehow made each of them $70 million or thereabouts. Think of all the things that much money could have gone to. Space travel, medicine, feeding the poor, finally nailing down whether the earth is flat or round. The list is endless. These fights never seem to draw well at the pay-per-view level, and yet the money keeps pouring in. From where? Why? Somehow. Poor buy rates sent fake Paul to Netflix. And then there's Logan, with CryptoZoo and his Little Photos project, and he's actually pretty good wrestling, I guess. That's the only thing he does that gets a positive reception, as far as I can tell. And then there's his boxing BS too, throwing down in pathetic scraps with STI and Dylan Phallus. Why are these guys pushed so hard in the public eye? The answer may be simple, very simple, in fact. It's an answer that's become all too common in recent years. The Nepo baby. Hordes of questionably talented brats waltzing into positions because mummy, daddy, or some other relative they may well also sleep with for all we know, calls in a favor. But burial. While the Paul brothers' father worked hard to help them get famous, he's not a celebrity. Surely that doesn't count, and he was just being a good dad. How right you are. If only my father had spent more time trying to make me a YouTube sensation instead of droning on about Wankspere and the Catholic Church. Seriously, who actually likes Shakespeare anymore? Hokey, rhyming garbage that's nonsensical and boring. Clearly a pseudonym for a bunch of different people back then, as no one surely could write that fast. And nowadays a whole bunch of crappy versions of his plays set in incorrect time periods where Richard II is played by some paraplegic Native American dwarf or something, because apparently that's universal. Oh, and that dwarf will be female, though it will probably identify as non-binary or whatever the hell, because this was all a big thing in Shakespeare's day, obviously. Not like his plays aren't very specifically set in their respective time periods or anything. But seriously, this is the really important question I want someone to answer. Why the f*** would anyone want to watch Kenneth Branagh do Hamlet for 4 hours when you can just watch John Wick? Anyways, the answer not for that question, the answer in regards to the Paul brothers is simple. There may be, heavy emphasis on maybe, allegedly, be a secret daddy, or indeed granddaddy, in the wings. The crescent moon-shaped face, the dead, sinister eyes, the angular nose, the just ridiculous haircuts, seemingly designed to disguise the soul-destroying setback of male pattern baldness.
And for your information, it's not even a haircut. It's a rare form of male pattern baldness.
The resemblance is just uncanny. I could be looking at father and son. Or grandfather and grandson, of course, given what a decrepit old buzzard Savile was by 1995. But if you think a huge age gap would have stopped Jimmy Savile from making a highly questionable, deeply disturbing move on someone, well, I'd like you to know that I have a delightful timeshare in Afghanistan with your name on it. Comment down below and I'll sort that out for you. And just to be clear, this is far, far away from the first time supposedly unrelated celebrities have looked eerily similar. Clearly there's a lot of inbreeding and secret parentage going on in the world of Unholywood. It's like Game of Thrones out there. But when it comes to Jimmy and Logan Savile, it's not just in the unfortunate facial features, it's in everything. The cringe, awkward attempts at humor. The surprise pro-wrestling interest that no one really asked for or really wanted. The debatable fashion choices. The relentless media push in the mainstream. Shocking. Just shocking. I don't know what else to tell you guys, and for those saying, even if this were the case, Savile's been dead for quite a while now. What the hell could he do from, well, hell, to help Logan Paul out? Well, you just need to remember that the BBC's longtime #1 guy had some friends in some very, very high places. Oh. And the elite protect and look out for their own. King Charles III, not the best one, obviously King Charlie II, the man who saved the UK from the dreary, Bible-humping misery of that wart-faced dullard, Oliver Cromwell, will always be the greatest of the royal Charlies. Anyway, King Charles III had a rather interesting letter for his old pal Jimmy some time ago now, as that cigar-chumping creeper hit the big 8-0, because only the good die young, the then Prince Charles, twiddling his thumbs as his mother selfishly refused to just pack it in and die to make way for him at the top, sent his trusty West Yorkshire pal a box of cigars and a little letter, part of which mentioned how no one would know how much Savile had done for the UK. Huh. Now, old Charles could not possibly have been referring to Savile's extensive charity work, as that was common public knowledge. Just what was he really talking about? And lest we forget, old Uncle Jimmy was also best buds with famed, treasonous poison Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. A woman who truly encapsulated every aspect of this actual quote from Prophet Muhammad. Never will succeed such a nation as makes a woman their ruler. Amen. Of course, why bother trying to build a nation up as a whole when you can just stamp all over their regional industries and working classes, and then outsource everything to China and other growing foreign interests for a quick buck at the expense of the working man? Oh yes, who needs a workers' economy when you can have a service and finances one? The most of the country can just be damned, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Great stuff. Rest in piss, you disgusting saggy old crone. My point is, wow, this is really going off the rails. My point is, old Jimmy had friends in high places despite his goofball status in the limelight, and young Logan, or man who's several months younger than me, rather, is no different. Let's look at some of Logan Paul's powerful acquaintances. President Trump. Known destroyer of anything cool in WWE, triple nose. Holier than thou, know-it-all, blowhard, astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Former adult film actor he'd really like if you forgot about that, turned filmmaker, actor, and inferior to the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. The list is endless. And we've had some fun suggesting they might be related, clearly very silly. Ha 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 ha. So let's get to the serious stuff here, the real deal. Nothing absurd about this next part, I assure you. There's plenty of circumstantial evidence that Savile might have been a wizard. Oh yes! The man himself revealed once that his colleagues down in the mines of his youth believed him to be a practitioner of witchcraft.
They were quite convinced I was a witch. If you go to South Kirby now, you'll get some of the old miners when you say, Jimmy Savile's done well, hasn't it? Ah, and you'll look around and you'll say, he's not what you think you know. The forces of darkness are at work there.
There are grim tales and allegations of him conducting satanic rituals at the hospitals where he was inexplicably given major access and authority throughout the UK. There's also the fact he has no obvious appeal, let's be real, and yet somehow was a fixture of British pop culture for decades. Worshipped as a hero in numerous circles, there's his appearances in magazines focusing on the supernatural worship of the Horned One back in the 60s, because wow, they really had magazines for everything in the pre-internet age, apparently. And of course there are just endless tales, a laundry list of horrors regarding this monster's inhuman crimes spanning multiple decades. Notice, though, that at no point in life was he ever in real danger of getting caught. Sure, he had the BBC protecting him. Something the British public is still legally obligated to fund. To this day, by the way, but even then, somehow, this revolting specimen, this alleged man, was a cultural icon. And that quiet part remained quiet, even with the small rumblings under the mainstream current. It remained quiet until he finally kicked the bucket. Buried quite bizarrely in a way that you might encase something demonic or toxic. In a thick gold coffin, encased in concrete, so that his foul astral presence may never roam the earth again after death. The spell had lifted in death, the grim reality of an oddball the British establishment had sloppily polished off for decades now in full view. An embarrassment to the country, and the in many ways surprise face of the early days of pop and rock and roll in the UK. Not that he himself was ever a star in that way, good grief, but as the host of Top of the Pops, as the phantom fifth man of the Beatles behind the scenes, and as one of the world's first DJs, Savile had his revolting, filthy fingers deep in the plundered orifices of the music scene of the 60s and 70s. The early days of hysterical fans losing their minds over some instruments being played on stage, a severe form of retardation we continue to grapple with all over the world to this day. The beginning, in some ways, of modern stupidity. Now, before we get back to Logan Paul, let's look at some items we know were in the possession of St. Jim, because this man was given not one, but two major papal honours by the Catholic Church. A wizard's arsenal, a crystal ball, a selection of oddball robes, and a wand. What are the odds? Look at the long, chunky cigars that magically never seem to dwindle in his grip, directed and pointed in particular directions depending on the man himself's vocal influence. Cigar? Or a disguised wand? Clearly this man was a practitioner of the dark arts, and no, this is not a new conspiracy theory about him. It's quite old, actually. It's been around for quite a while. Now, let's look at Logan Paul. Granted, he's considerably less off-putting than old Jimmy, but so's Typhoid. Paul has his own goofball robes, as evidenced by his ludicrous WWE entrances. And he has himself a disguised wand as well. Exhibit A bottle of prime. Notice how he almost never actually drinks that forever chemicals-laden poison water? Oh no. And yet the bottle is always there, always emphasized, always promoted. This is his wand. A conduit of sorts, an instrument, through which he conducts his supernatural evil on the world. Several years back, the Maverick had to step away from the benefits of rapid-fire video editing for a night. This was long before his WWE days, you see. Back when he was firmly a vlogger and prankster type. Jimmy Kimmel, the legendary host of The Man Show.
How long is this going to go on?
Ladies, unite against suffrage. End the suffraging now.
We're trying to stop the suffrage and the suffrage of women in this country.
Sir?
I would be happy to sign.
Thank you very much.
Who then became an advocate for male castration.
Oscar is the most beloved and respected man in Hollywood, and there's a very good reason why. Just look at him. Keeps his hands where you can see them. Never says a rude word. And most importantly, no penis at all.
Let this guy on his show, and without the magic of post-production, his cracks at punchlines and playing to the camera fell flatter than the chest of a pre-op ladyboy.
I wrestled a bear.
Like a real bear.
Yeah.
What kind of a bear was it?
It's an 800-pound Kodiak bear.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
I don't know how else to describe it because you're not supposed to do that. Again, I was told not to.
yeah, right.
But I did it.
The magic of Logan Paul. His spell, at the time if you will, only worked for the online medium he largely inhabited. But burial? Logan Paul as a magic practitioner? That's ridiculous. You're clearly insane. Am I? Let's take a look at LP's old stomping grounds, shall we? Vine. Oh yes. Some years ago, one of the seemingly endless array of vapid lifestyle influencers out there shared some of her grim experiences working at Vine.
So this girl proceeds to tell me that on the sixth floor, they're doing satanic. This sounds so stupid. This girl told me that on the sixth floor, they were doing satanic worshiping.
Living there in their demonic, ungodly headquarters. And let us remember the name Vine pops up in the world of Solomonic magic, where the demon Vine can be summoned, supposedly, in order to assist with a variety of objectives and challenges on this material plane we are all trapped in. Anyways, basic vapid influencer lady had a lot to say, including the grim reveal that these 6-second chumps were praying to the unholy one for more views. Oh yes, Moloch, Remphan, and Satan himself were in the house, called upon to give these people larger Instagram followings and superior watch times.
Satanic worshiping going on the sixth floor, so if you're trying to get successful, if you're trying to get some more followers, go up there and they'll help you.
Shocking stuff! Of all the things to call on the dark arts for, clearly Logan Paul, much like a certain British TV host of yesteryear, is using the forces of evil to mask his shortcomings as a so-called entertainer. Now let's take a look at the birthdays of these two hellspawns in human form, shall we? James Savile, born October 31st. Oh yes, Halloween. Now, in the present day, Halloween is merely a cash grab. Gimmick day for a bit of fun, trick-or-treat, costumes, parties, a celebration of horror cinema, etc. All well and good, but the day itself stems from the traditional Celtic holiday of Samhain, or Samhain, as uncultured swine would say.
It's a Celtic word. Samhain. It means the Lord of the Dead. The end of summer. The festival of Samhain.
You really should have known better, Donald Pleasance. Anyway, Samhain was believed to be the day of the year in which the lines between this mortal physical plane we inhabit and the world beyond it, the supernatural otherworld, if you will, unseen by us and yet ever present, blurred and disguised, was allowed to pierce through the veil. The two worlds mingling, allowing an interdimensional exchange of sorts in which crossovers between the entities of these two very different realities could occur. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Sinister, more like, as demonic characters touch through the veil to reach us for a night of potential chaos and supernatural phenomena. So how, you ask, is this significant? Everyone's gotta be born sometime, right? This is measly coincidence. Sure, I suppose, and yet the night of demons, monsters, and general ridiculousness just happens to be the birthday of a monster. A clearly demonic guy. I mean, that witchy face speaks for itself. And that's before we even get to his laundry list of evil and general ridiculousness. I mean, look at him. Look at his TV work. Look at how he propagated the general NPC boomer hysteria of music in his day to start with. Shocking stuff. The day was symbolic of the man to come back in 1926. Now, Logan Paul. 1995 was the year, and April 1st was the day. April Fools, how about that? Well, 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 and remind me of what Paul loves to play in the public eye. That's right. The Fool. His vlogs, his pranks, his bonehead heel persona in the WWE, being Nina Agdar's husband. The list of foolhardiness and public stupidity is endless. Shocking stuff. A day of lies, hoaxes, pranks, jokes, and idiocy just happens to be the birthday of a man who encapsulates all those things I just said. Coincidence? I think not. And where Jimmy S. represented the mainstream debut of evil in the British consciousness, ever a capital country for none with a C between the second N and E, Logan P. has come to represent the continued mainstream acceptance of doing anything, literally anything, to be famous. A whole generation of youngsters growing up wanting to be vloggers, humiliating themselves on camera in the name of desperate, pitiful views and attention. A whole generation who can barely sit through a high-quality film, yet alone read a book, obsessing over, "It's just a prank, bro." Content, their barely existent attention spans drained further from rapid-fire content. Fast-paced, scattershot editing, nothing challenging or intellectually stimulating going on at even the most bare-bones, basic level. Mr. LP, along with his brain-damaged, lispy brother, his balding lover KSI, and the online Antichrist, that is Mr. Beast, have all been complicit in this heavy push towards general stupidity among the newer generations of the masses. Shocking. I'm shocked. And now just to be clear, the comparisons and alleged similarities between these two less than pleasant public figures from different generations are exclusively the ones discussed in this video, all of which are purely under the allegedly banner. No one is accusing the former WWE US champion of having similar proclivities to Sir Jimmy. Innocent. Until proven guilty.